Nottingham Forest are a club with a decent amount of history. 2 FA Cups and 2 back-to-back UCL titles. They are a club that has more history than Manchester City. However, their recent history has not been as great. Matter of fact, last time they were in the top flight of English football was before the 21st century, in 1999. Now, with over 20 seasons of them being out of the Premier League, they are finally back, and they decided to spend heavily.
Should we have spent so heavily in the past? Probably not. But we lived the dream.
Nottingham Forest actually went and made 21 signings in this summer transfer window. So I'm going to be going over all of the 21 signings and seeing, I'm going to be rating them based on previous performances for other clubs and how I think they will do now. So let's begin. I'm going to start with the least price, like basically the loan players, and then up to the one with most price, which was I think Morgan Gibbs White. So let's begin. So first I'll begin with the loan players, and the first player is Luak Bader, a centre back from Rennes, 22-year-old, and I really think he has good potential. I'm reading the stats off my phone. These are the stats he had in Ligue 1. He's in the top 5 percentile for tackles per 90 minutes, 0.91, which is actually decent. In the top 15 percentile, 5.45 interceptions per 90 minutes, which is, I think, is actually decent. He's 22 years old. He reminds me of William Saliba. I really think at Nottingham Forest he'll get some good amount of game time, and I really think he'll be a very good player. Rennes, they're giving him a chance, and I think he will do very well. I think he'll become the main defender at Nottingham Forest. So I'm actually going to give him an 8 out of 10 rating. Next player that came on loan is Dean Henderson, and to be fair, I don't even need to check his stats. I've watched enough Premier League to know that this guy could be a great player, and already in the Premier League he's played a couple of games for Nottingham Forest and he showed some sort of decent goalkeeping, and he has played for Sheffield United. We saw how good he did for them. Man United, he hasn't been getting as much game time, but I really think Nottingham Forest bagged a good goalkeeper. I think I'd give this another 8 out of 10 rating. This is a very good transfer for Nottingham Forest, and I just hope that they manage to bag Bader and Henderson permanently. That will really help them to stay in the Premier League. Next is Wayne Hennessy, another goalkeeper, but for this one I really don't know what to say because he's 35 years old. He's way out of his prime. He was a decent goalkeeper, but now I don't think you could really trust a 35-year-old in goal. I think Hennessy could be decent. Can't really give him too much. I still think this is a good 6 out of 10 though, based on goalkeeper Hennessy is, and he was the man in 2016 Euros, but does he still have that in him? I don't know. Next player is Cheku Kouyaté, a player that we already know has played in the Premier League for Crystal Palace, a centre back. He is 32 years old, which is I think my only problem about him. He's not a long-term player that Nottingham Forest can look for. However, for now I think he's decent. You know, he's good at aerial duels, blocking the ball, tackling, and also concentration. He is alright for now. He's good enough to keep Nottingham Forest up, and now I'm going to give him a good 7 out of 10 rating for Nottingham Forest. Next is probably the biggest signing that they made, Jay Lings himself, Jesse Lingard. Do I think he'll be great for Nottingham Forest? I mean, you can see what a player he could be. We saw that. His loan at West Ham was brilliant. 9 goals, 4 assists in 16 appearances for West Ham. That's absolutely brilliant. It's been 4 games that Jesse Lingard has started, and he hasn't scored or assisted yet, but I still think he needs some time because he has the experience. Has played for Man United, West Ham, despite not so much on Man United. I'm actually going to give this an 8 out of 10. Kind of skeptical though, could be lower, but 8 out of 10 for now. Next player is Harry Toffolo from Huddersfield, and he's a left back. He's already started 5 games, meaning he is the starting left back of Nottingham Forest. 2.6 clearances. I think this is decent for a newly promoted left back. I think he could be alright for them. Since he's a starting left back, he needs to prove himself. Nottingham Forest only bought him for about 2 million, so you can't really go wrong with 2 million. But I think I'm actually going to give this a 6.5 out of 10 for Nottingham Forest. Next is the man, the myth, the legend, Willy Bolly. Although he's also an aging centre-back, which I don't think will be reliable in the long term, unlike a player like Luak Bader if Nottingham Forest managed to buy him. I still think he's a great a decent centre-back, a great centre-back for a club such as Nottingham Forest. He hasn't played for them yet, however I found this very impressive style of it, which actually makes me a bit more assured by what he could actually provide. And this stat is that since the 2011-12 season, where he played for Alzur, since then he has never gotten a passing accuracy less than 80%, which I actually find that very impressive. The last season was 11-12, he got 75.9, and his best season is a 95.5% passing accuracy, which is pretty good, I'd say. He was a reliable centre-back for Wolves, so I think Nottingham Forest have bagged a good player in here. As long as he plays, I think this will be at 8 out of 10. Next is Renan Lodi on loan. Nottingham Forest also paid 4.5 million for him for the loan. However, I think based on like the type of player that he's probably the best signing Nottingham Forest have made. He is a reliable left back for Atletico Madrid as well. He's just been sent on loan here, and I really think that he's probably the best move that they've made this whole summer. I'm actually going to give him a 9.5 out of 10. Next is Omar Richards, who Nottingham Forest bought for 7.65 mil, and I think he could be a good player, but he seems to be quite injury prone. If he's not, I really think he could be a great player. I mean, he was playing for Bayern Munich, so that's already quite decent. And now in the coming years, he will be the main left back of the club, as long as he doesn't get injured, and hopefully injuries do not ruin his career. This is a good 7 out of 10 for the future investment. Next, and I'm actually quite surprised, I didn't even know Nottingham Forest bought this player, by Remo Frula from Atalanta. I actually have no clue. They only bought him for 8.1 million, and I think he is quite a decent player. I mean, he was a regular for Atalanta, which has now made themselves quite a good Italian side. You know, always getting regular UCL football. He's only played 2 games so far, so you have to give him time. However, I think this is a good 7 out of 10 transfer. That was very well done by Nottingham Forest. Next is Lewis O'Brien, another player bought from Huddersfield. Nottingham Forest and Huddersfield making quite some business, and I think this guy he could be a regular. He's still 23. Again, that's another good one for the future. He has already 2 yellow cards. Like this, he is a bit of an aggressive player. The yellow cards worry me. Other than that, I think he could be a decent player for Nottingham Forest in the future, and I think this could be a 6.5 after. Next player is Julian Biancone, another 22-year-old French player, other than Loic Badet, and he's kind of impressed me so far. In the League Cup, he played a full 90 minutes and won 3 aerials during that match. 8.28 rating. I think Biancone is a good enough right back for Nottingham Forest, so I think this one, he's impressed me, and this is a 7.5 out of 10. Next is Musa Nyakate from FSV Mainz. I think he is again a good centre back. He's 26 as well, which is not too old, not too young. I think he's a decent centre back for Nottingham Forest level, at least. What I've seen, he doesn't have good passing, which is kind of worrying, and he also does commit fouls often. So I really don't know what to base off of this. I still think he's a good defender, because I think he could help, since he's had experience in the Bundesliga as well, which is a good league. And I'd say he's probably not I don't think he'll be the best centre back for the club, but I think he'll be decent. I'll give him a 6.5 out of 10. Another new signing is centre mid, 24-year-old Belgian Aurel Mangala from Stuttgart, and I think he's another decent player. However, his stats don't really impress me. He's only played 2 games so far, 1 off the bench, 155 minutes overall, has a good passing accuracy of 87.3. That's always good to see in a centre mid, you know, bringing pinging the balls in, and that sounds mad. Pause. You know what? I'm gonna be very optimistic about this Nottingham Forest side. I'm gonna give him a 7 out of 10. Next player is another Premier League GOAT, and that is Emmanuel Dennis. Last season, Watford, 33 games, 10 goals. That is actually not bad for his first season in the Prem. Now, he's not doing as well at Nottingham Forest, but I think, of course, you have to give players more time. It's a new club, 13.32 million. It's not that bad of a deal, to be fair, and I think he might actually get a couple of goals. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 rating. Next is a defender that was used during the Liverpool injury crisis, and we all know that is Nico Williams. Nico Williams, still 21, and that was like 2 seasons ago, so he was 19 years old then. Used in the Liverpool defence that had no Van Dijk and just injuries right, left and centre. Him and Bader together during Bader's loan could be a good young duo for the future, because he's only 21. I think this will be like an 8 out of 10. We are now 2 signings away and another Bundesliga player coming into the Prem. You know who I'm talking about, Taiwo Awoniyi. He's one of the only players to have already scored for Nottingham Forest, and it makes me think, okay, this guy might have been worth it. Maybe, maybe not. It was a good deal. 18.45 million for a 24-year-old. It's not that bad. He is quite a decent player, and there's also some sort of chemistry between him and Dennis. They're both Nigerian strikers, so I think partner them up, and I think they could be a good duo. Could be decent. This could actually be an 8.5 out of 10. Last signing of the video, and this is the most expensive one from Nottingham Forest, 26.55 million. Morgan Gibbs White. Forget what he did during COVID. Let's forget all of that. And he is actually quite a decent player for Wolves. And attacking midfielder, a cam, I think he'd be very solid for Nottingham Forest. You know, 26.55 might be a tad bit too much, but I think he would still be a decent player, and that'll be 7 out of 10 considering he's still 22 years old. I think, yeah, that's it for the video. Let me know what other video ideas you have for me, because I've kind of run out. This was the only one I had. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you watching, and yeah, see you on the next one. Bye.